Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with a video on who should get the wildcard for the Candidates tournament. Let me tell you the story, which is heating up nicely at the end of 2019. The Candidates tournament will be held in March 2020 in Yekaterinburg in Russia. The winner of that Candidates tournament will earn the right to challenge world champion Magnus Carlsen for the world title at the end of 2020. 8 players will play a double round robin. And up to very recently, these were the names that were known as participants in that tournament. The loser of the last World Championship match was Fabiano Caruana, and he automatically qualified for the Candidates tournament that way. The top 2 finishers of the FIDE Grand Prix 2019, that's what this video is about. Then the 2 finalists of the Chess World Cup also qualified, and those were Teimour Radjabov from Azerbaijan and Ding Liren from China. The top finisher in the FIDE Grand Swiss tournament was Wang Hao from China. He also qualified. 1 player qualifying by rating, that will be Anish Giri, and 1 wildcard selected by the organizer, and there's a lot of talk around that. So 2 players from the FIDE Grand Prix would qualify. There were 4 Grand Prix tournaments played in 2019 in Moscow in Russia, Riga in Latvia, Hamburg, Germany, and the last one in Jerusalem in Israel in December. Alexander Grishuk did not play in the last event. He was almost certain of qualifying, but not 100% yet. The other main contenders were Maxime Vachier-Lagrave from France and Jan Nepomniachtchi from Russia. This is the bracket. I hope you can read it from the Jerusalem Grand Prix. In the first round, MVL beat Topalov, Andreikin got the better of Wojtaszek, Wesley So beat Yu Yangyi, Jan Nepomniachtchi beat Boris Gelfand, Wei Yi beat Giri, Karyakin beat Hare Krishna, Navarra beat Wang Hao, and Yakovenko beat Mamedyarov. In the quarterfinals, MVL beat Andreikin and Nepomniachtchi beat So. Wei Yi beat Karyakin and Navarra beat Yakovenko. The semifinals between Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Jan Nepomniachtchi was very important. If Vachier-Lagrave would win, he would qualify for the Candidates. If Nepomniachtchi would win and would also win the final, then it would be Nepomniachtchi who qualified. Nepomniachtchi won and played in the final against Wei Yi, who beat Navarra. And indeed, in the final, Jan Nepomniachtchi beat Wei Yi and qualified that way for the Candidates tournament. The final standings of the World Cup, Alexander Grishuk and Jan Nepomniachtchi qualify for the Candidates, Grishuk with 20 points and Nepomniachtchi with 19. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave just missed out with 16 points. You can see there that Nepomniachtchi had to win the final. He needed the 10 points to finish second. Mamedyarov also missed out. He got 10 points. He won the Riga event but did not qualify. As you can see, apart from winning Riga, he did not win any other matches. Jan Krzysztof Duda from Poland ended in 5th place and Wei Yi from China in 6th. And these are the 8 candidates that will do battle in March. Clockwise from the left, Wang Hao qualified through the FIDE Grand Swiss tournament. Anish Giri qualified by rating. Fabiano Caruana played against Carlsen in the last World Championship match. Jan Nepomniachtchi qualified. At the bottom right you see Ding Liren, who was the runner-up in the World Cup. Next to him, Teimour Radjabov, who won the World Cup. And next to him, Alexander Grishuk, winning the Grand Prix. And who is that gentleman at the bottom left? Well, that is the wild card. Kirill Alexeyenko was given the wild card by the Russian Chess Federation. He was eligible for the wildcard by finishing 3rd in the Grand Swiss, behind Wang Hao and Fabiano Caruana. It is logical that the Russian Chess Federation wants to give the wildcard to a Russian player, since the Candidates tournament is held in Russia. But then there was an open letter to the Russian Chess Federation from Laurent Vera, who is Maxime Vachier-Lagrave's manager. I took a few quotes from it. The Russian Chess Federation could choose to give the wildcard to the only eligible Russian player, Kirill Alexeyenko, for his 3rd place at the Grand Swiss that took place on the Isle of Man. But on a purely sporting level, it could legitimately pick Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, 3 times eligible and first non-qualified player by average rating, World Cup and FIDE Grand Prix. Yes, MVL missed out narrowly on all those 3 categories. The letter continues, whether it opts for a 3rd Russian player or for the most obvious sporting choice, the Russian Chess Federation remains sovereign in its decisions. However, we suggest it takes into consideration the possibility of organizing an MVL Alexeyenko match in order to earn the wildcard spot. It would have the merit of preserving sporting equity and would, I believe, meet the wishes of a vast majority of chess enthusiasts throughout the world. To be continued, I would say. I think it's very unlikely that the Russian Chess Federation will go back on their word to Alexeyenko that he will be the wild card. On the other hand, Laurent Vera makes some good points. MVL narrowly missed out on 3 of the categories, while Alexeyenko only qualifies by finishing 3rd in that Swiss tournament. I'm sure we'll find out soon what will happen. Enough of the talking, we have to play some chess as well. In this video we're going to look at one of the games from Jerusalem, from the first round. On the left we see the Chinese Grandmaster Wei Yi, on the right the Dutch Grandmaster Anish Giri. It is the 13th of December 2019, white Wei Yi, black Giri. The 2 classical games had ended in a draw, the first rapid game in the tiebreak also ended in a draw, and this is the second rapid tiebreak game. Time control 25 minutes plus a 10-second increment. Wei Yi opened with the e-pawn. Giri played the Sicilian, and now look at this move, bishop e2. Grandmaster Yevgeny Mirzhnechenko in the live broadcast said, "We all understand you want to play a close Sicilian with f4 and knight f3, but why start with such a weird move?" Bishop e2. Knight c6, f4 indeed, and d5, counter-attacking in the center. d3, g6, the knights got developed, and e5, kicking the knight on f6. The knight went to h5. As we'll see, Giri will put his knight on e6 that way. Wei Yi castled, knight g7, bishop e3, d4, kicking that bishop back. It went to f2 and the knight to e6 as planned. It's attacking the f4 pawn, so Wei Yi defended it. And bishop g7. Knight bd2, Giri castled, and here Grandmaster Mirzhnechenko said, "How easy or difficult will it be for white to move the kingside pawns up?" Which is white's plan in a position like this. Wei Yi decided to attack black center with c3, and Giri did the same with f6. Both players are attacking their opponent's center. Wei Yi took, e takes, and queen b3. Having a look at that king on g8. Giri stepped aside, away from that diagonal. No more tactics on the diagonal, and rook f2 e1. b6 and bishop f1. Giri called this after the game a very strong regrouping, rook e1 and bishop f1, that he was quite concerned about. He took on c3, b takes, and knight c7 to play bishop e6 with a tempo on the queen. Wei Yi after the game called the game after the opening quite unclear, so I will not try to explain what's going on here. If Wei Yi thinks it's unclear, then who am I to have an opinion on this position? The engine says it's about equal. Rook a to d1, bishop e6 kicking the queen, queen drop back, and queen d7. d4, we saw some swaps on d4, knight takes and bishop g4. Attacking the rook on d1, the bishop interposed. The position is still around even, and Giri said afterwards that he thought he may have been slightly better and spent a lot of time here looking for moves that would give him an advantage, which he couldn't find as the advantage was not there. He could have done with the time spent in this part of the game when the position became very tactical later. So he said he played too subtle. That was his biggest mistake in this game. He played rook a e8. Wei Yi took on g4, queen takes, and knight c4. Knight d5, attacking the f4 pawn, because the g pawn is pinned. So queen f2, defending the f4 pawn. Rook d8, indeed subtle maneuvering from Giri. Rook d3, rook f2 e8, and knight d6. Now the tactics are starting. That knight is unprotected there, but you cannot take it because of rook takes e8 check. That's easy enough. After knight d6, Giri took on e1 with check. Queen takes, and you can still not take on d6 because of a mate in 2. like this. This is checkmate. So after queen takes e1, Geary played king g8, and now he is threatening to take on d6. So knight e8 was played, and Geary said after the game that he was confused here, confused by this move, and could not believe it works. And he decided to take on f4, grab that pawn. You cannot take back because of the pin, as we already saw. It's a mistake. Knight takes e4 is a mistake. This pawn grab does not work. Any other reasonable move would have kept the balance. The engine likes queen f5 instead. But knight takes f4 was played, and now Wei Yi infiltrates with his queen in black's position, queen e7, and that looks very, very dangerous, and it is. There's a checkmate threat on g7, and that rook is hanging. As mentioned, Geary thought it did not work. He had seen rook d7, and then he saw this variation in his calculations. Knight takes f6 check, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, and then he would have knight e2 check, king g2, and knight takes d4. At least he would have this, he said, and this is indeed okay for black. This position is equal, but Geary had missed a move in his calculations, and he found out here that what he had missed. But it was already too late. There was no way back. I'll show you in a minute what move Geary had missed, because we'll see it on the board in the actual game. Here Geary saw that rook d7 does not work because of a move that he had missed. He decided on knight h3 check, but that doesn't save black either. King f1, another check, king g2, and now Geary saw nothing better than go for that line with rook d7, saving the rook and defending against a checkmate. But here we see that line again. Knight takes f6 check was played by Wei Yi. Bishop takes, and instead of taking on f6, Wei Yi played queen e8 check, and that was the move that Geary had missed in his calculations. It's luring the king to g7, that's the only legal move. And it is crucial that the king goes there, as we'll see. Because now there is queen takes d7 check, and Geary resigned. Why did he resign? After queen takes d7, there is the very nice move bishop takes f6, which is check. That's why the king had to be lured to g7 first, because now there is a discovered attack from the rook on the queen. And after king takes, rook takes, the smoke has cleared and white is an exchange up. The knight is also hanging, so knight g5 for example. Rook takes a7 with an easily winning endgame for white. Geary, one of the favorites for the tournament, had been eliminated in the first round by the youngster from China. He was not too upset, he said afterwards, because he qualified for the candidates tournament by rating. Wei Yi would go on all the way to the final, where he lost to Jan Nepomniachtchi. It promises to be a very exciting candidates tournament in March in Yekaterinburg in Russia. A picture from the handshake after queen takes d7 check. Anish Geary extended his hand in resignation. And this position is our game, myself with white against a chess to impress viewers with black. I've just played on the 26th move my queen from d2 to a5. And it is your turn. What would you play in this position with black? You can take part in this game by putting your move in the comment section underneath this video. And by doing so you will be part of this very exciting and rich game. It's very complicated, but you also will be in the raffle. At the end of the game I will raffle a chess book amongst the viewers who have taken part in the game. I'm looking forward to seeing your move in the comment section. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel and please leave a comment. I will read them all and I will reply to them all. If you like the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram, on Twitter and on Facebook. This is Rick for Chess to Impress. Thank you for watching.